In most households, there is two adult roles. The one where you wrap and give Christmas presents, and the other which is you receive them and are never quite sure how they got wrapped or when they were bought. Now guys, I think we know which one we fall into, but if you're struggling with that self-assessment, ask yourself, do I have enough Christmas wrapping paper for this year's season? If you don't know the answer to that, you're probably the one getting the presents. But by the end of this tutorial, be very careful of who you show your skill set to, because you might just get an involuntary field promotion to designated gift wrapper. What's happening guys? Scott from a Hornet's Nest. Welcome back to episode 22 of Tutorial Tuesday. So good to see you. Today's episode, I want to show you the milestone that we have here in front of us. We have painted it the interior gray, dark gold gray. It is FS36231. And it looks incredible. It really is coming to life. I want to show you how I color matched it, how I taped and masked it, and how I painted it. And then I want to show you right now the AMPCD installed, because it looks so good. And around the avionics areas, you can just see that green creeping through, because a lot of you asked, what are you doing with that extra screen that's sticking out of the top? It's all masked back here. You got to trust the Open Hornet process. It's going to work really well. So yeah, it's at this inspiring stage of, I now have a pit in my house. When it was green, it was good because you're like, ah, cool, I've got a pit in my house. This is nice. But now that you've got the gray and we've got some of our panels just fitted just for the effect, it's really like, hey, I actually have a pit forming in my house. So the only painting we've got left to do is the seat, but that's gonna be a much later episode. The glare shield and then the canopy bow, but the big ticket painting items are done. So after this, we can get straight into building the components and fitting them and getting this functional. So let's go back in time. Let me show you how I color matched it, how I spent some time with the team at Torbens to get this color. Because unless you live in America, the federal standards color scheme is pretty hard to attain, but I'll show you some ways that you can move around it to get a pretty good color match. Alrighty, at the desk, let's get into it. We've got three hobby paints here. We've got Vallejo Model Air, SMS, an Australian brand, and then we've got Mr. Color, the one we used for the knobs. They are all FS36231 coded, but as you can see, they're ever so slightly different. Now that could be a manufacturing issue, it could be a color scaling issue, we don't quite know. But if we pop them together, you can see that Mr. Color is a little bit darker, SMS's paint is a lot more on the grayer scale, and then we go into the bluer hues here on the Vallejo Model Air. So we just really got to pick which one looks best for us. I'm happy with Mr. Color being the knob color, because we had an exact OEM knob to reference that off. Now for this referencing, we're going off photos, YouTube videos, as much reference documents as I can find. But the key is when referencing a digital media is, what sensor was it taking on? What are the external lighting conditions? What's around it? Because fun fact, a Sony will give it a red color cast. If you're running an iPhone with true color on, it's gonna look different to an iPhone running night mode on. So before you start deciding what this color is, you've got to ask yourself, how correct am I seeing it? And the only way to do that is to have the actual color sample with you. Well, I'm in Australia, how do I get that color sample? I've spoken to Scott from SMS Paints, and he said his color sample of FS3621, the dark gold gray, is as close as it's going to get. It's 100% matched, and it's to the real formula. So I'm going to use that as our reference chip. I'm happy with it. It looks great, it feels great, but I'm still going to use the other two paints on a larger color card, and we're going to compare them with a couple of paints that I've found from different hardware stores. So I'm going to pop the Vallejo at the top, SMS in the middle, Mr. Color on the bottom. We're going to get that airbrushing. Once it's all dry, I'm going to put a clear coat on them. That way they all have the same finish. And then I'm going to get those paints that I've found, and then we're going to create a color grid. Now with these nicely dried, you can see that Mr. Color is definitely darker, but you can barely notice a difference between Vallejo and SMS. To the naked eye, I can see a green undertone on the Vallejo, and SMS is looking as a neutral gray, maybe a little bit of brown or purple undertone to it, but they both look quite nice. So let's tape a couple of these sections off, and I've got 4 paints from differing paint stores around the area. RAL 7046 by Taubmans. It's what's on the Open Hornet wiki of what it says is close enough, but I find it's a bit blue. We've got RAL 7037, which is a bit warmer, but it looks, the internet render looks a bit nicer. A Bunnings cooked unit version of what they think it was color matched to. And by the way, if somebody says to you at a hardware store, it's close enough and it does not look close enough, don't continue with it, because really, you'll see when I paint this third one, it does not look close enough at all. I just paid for it to stop the conflict and just continue on. And we've got a Pantone 8C cool gray. The thing with Pantone is it's an ink color space. It's not a paint color space. So you might get ever so slight differences. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's get the color grid painted, and then at the end we will airbrush it with a clear coat to give it the same finish. You got to give this 2 coats when you're doing a color comparison, otherwise you're just not going to get that good fill. It's not going to look right. You can see that they are quite skinny and they're bleeding through. You want to have 2 coats to get that really good comparison. Now that's all dried. It's looking wonderful. That 7046 on the very left here is showing quite blue. And then because they're next to each other, the 7037 definitely looks too warm. If those 2 could be mixed, I think would have a really good color. The Bunnings cooker paint, yeah, look, that's not close enough at all. And then we are looking at the Pantone. I think Pantone in the Inkscape would look beautiful, but on a paint, it is just too light. It doesn't have enough depth to it. But I'm not happy with all 4. It's like, I want it to be close. So I think I'm gonna have to go back to Taubmans, and I think we're just gonna spend some time there really color matching it, basing it off 7046, and we're gonna edit from there, because FS36231 is a cool gray. It has blue hues to it, but it's not as blue as what 7046 really looks like. Now, if you look here with our 5th column organized, we can see that that is a much closer resemblance to the SMS dark gold gray. It's based off this one, RAL 7046. This had too blue of a hue. I'm much more liking this one. And once we get it in the cockpit, it's all reflecting amongst each other. It's in the cockpit room. I think we're gonna have a really, really nice color. So that's the color matching done. Let's get downstairs. Let's start taping up. We are so close to having the gray finish on our cockpit, and then we can start building the electronics. Alrighty, now that we know what color we're going to be using, let's go and mask it all up. Now, I don't really know how I'm going to mask it. I've got a rough idea. I know what I want to make gray, and I know what I want to keep green. And to do that, we're going to use a mix of blue painter's tape, some yellow modeling tape, paper towel for some flexible masks, and then we're going to use brown paper for overall coverage. The reason I'm using the brown paper is because if you've used plastic painter sheets before, whether you be painting a house or just masking anything, anytime that paint falls on it and it dries and then gets disturbed, it's going to cause dust and paint particles to fly around. Paper does not flex and it just sticks onto it real nice. So that's why I'm using paper instead of plastic. Well, let's just get into it. I'm gonna start off with this area. We're gonna move our way around. We're gonna do the side consoles, upper instrument panel, and then we're gonna head over into the painting booth and we're gonna have this all sorted. Now, the reason I went and put that first blue tape down before the paper mask was if I ever want to remove this paper mask, I can easily remove it, leaving the line there. That way I never have to worry about retaping the exact color line. I don't know what I want to do with these edges yet. They may stay green, they may go to the exterior gray. I haven't really decided how I want to skin it yet, but that's why. And with that little bit of yellow tape in there, I think we are done. We are done the low instrument panel. We have taped up all the sides. We've taped up the center area, because I want that green to be peeking through when I go and put the linear motion unit in there for the rudder pedal adjustment. And I've got the back taped up. When operating there with electronics, I want to see primer green. When I'm seeing it from the parts perspective, I want to see dull Gull gray. That was a lot of effort, but hey, let's keep going. We've got side consoles, upper instrument panel, and then we are good to go. And there we are, we're done. Just like that. Oh, it's about 7:30 now. I started at 12, take an hour and a half off for dinner. We're looking at about 6 hours of taping. And I am so over touching blue masking tape. Oh, it is the worst. But it's gonna look awesome. We've taken the top of the lower instrument panel off so it's easier to spray. That's just gonna be a solid gray color. I've left these access holes open and they'll get taped once we're in the spray booth, just so I've got something to carry it with. And then yeah, I'm hoping it's gonna last the night. Tomorrow morning I'm gonna start the spraying, and that should take about a day, maybe two, and then we should be good to go. This was actually the most annoying, but All the XP I've earned during this has upgraded me to level 10 present wrapper. So yes, like I said, if you're not the designated present wrapper in the house, either stay that way or don't let anyone see this what you're doing, because they will immediately upgrade you to present wrapper, and that's going to be the job till you prove otherwise. So yeah, let's get into the spray booth, let's get it done, let's bring it back upstairs, and we are all good to install the very first module, which is the AMPCD. Alrighty, let's get into the fun stuff. I've just finished mixing up a pot of our 12 mins wall paint with a little bit of water. The texture we're going for, the consistency, is that of a warm honey or a melted chocolate. If you're airbrushing, you're gonna go a milky consistency. Using the Wagner Flexio system, it's got a little bit more power, bigger nozzle size, we can use a little bit thicker paint. And that's gonna allow us to have that really nice coverage using 1 or 2 coats. So let's get this plugged into the Wagner system, respirators on, protect your health, and then we're gonna get into painting this model. Alrighty, just like that, we are done. We have finished 3 solid days of painting and filming, and I'm telling you now, it looks absolutely incredible. And we are ready to take the paint off the lower instrument panel. When you get to this stage, you don't want to rush it. You want it to be nice and dry. Give it a good day to dry. Otherwise, if there is still wet paint under the surface, you could tear into that and it's going to ruin your paint job and you're going to be back at square one. So let's get into it. Let's wrap it up and then we'll take all the pieces upstairs and then we'll start installing the AMPCD and maybe a couple of panels. This is exactly what I wanted. Oh, it looks crisp. It's gonna look so good when that linear track is in there. So when we spin it around, all we're gonna see is little bits of that green chromate popping through, and it's exactly how I wanted it done. I'm sorry, but have you seen a more perfect paint job than this? Ah, it is to die for. I think this looks absolutely the best. And I know at the beginning of the video, I said, I'm not sure how this is gonna turn out. I think at the end of the day, I always had an idea of how it's gonna turn out and we got it done. Oh, there's a little bit of blue tape here. I'll remove that when we install the AMPCD. but that's the best. I'm so damn happy with this. All we've got to do is reinstall the top cover. That's going to cover up all of this. And then we'll go put the vents in, we'll pop an AMPCD in there. And then I think we're going to take it upstairs. But in the meantime, let's go and tape the rest. And next time you see me, I'll be upstairs when we put it back in the sim room. Okay, well, we now have the Hornet's Nest supporter. This is Len. This is my girlfriend's dog, and I'm dog sitting for the day while she's out flying. So, yeah. Hello, Len. What I wanted to say before we get going is the reason I've got the paper towel here is if you feel any light burrs or like any little dust spots, it's just overspray where the paint is dried before it's hit the surface, you can take some paper towel and it's a little bit gentler than sandpaper. Take the paper towel, you just scrunch it up, and you just start sanding away at it. And you'll see little bits of dust come off. It's a great way to dust your project, but it's also gonna give it a little bit of a smoother feel. That way, you're taking away those burrs and it's gonna give you that really nice result. So yeah, that's what I thought I'd add to that. Don't sandpaper your finish. It's gonna make it look really dull. Just use some paper towel and don't get the nice soft stuff. Don't get the tissues that you blow your nose with. Just get some kitchen paper towel that's a little bit coarse and it'll be just fine. And there we have it. I've shown you how I kind of color matched and how we got it to this state. It doesn't matter how close you get it to FS36231 because it's your pit. At the end of the day, you've got a sim pit in your house and no matter what anyone says, you can be incredibly proud of that. So go out there, go get painting, go get color matching. And I want to see photos of your pit. Send it to me on Instagram or Facebook. It doesn't matter if you haven't done much or you've done a lot. I want to see what you're getting up to. If you're part of the Hornet's Nest journey, I want to see what you're doing too, because it's your journey as well. So that's it for the episode. Next episode, we want to go and put the power supply units in, and we're going to put all the avionics in the lower instrument panel, and we're going to power the pit. It's going to look really cool. But as far as painting goes, we're pretty much done until we have to go and paint the seat black. So that's gonna be a much later episode, and that's gonna be when the pit is coming to an end right before we put the displays in. So as always, go enjoy your week ahead, enjoy some flight simming, get painting, and I will see you in the next episode. What? Do you wanna have a go? Okay. Come on, inside. Inside. Yes. Do you know you're putting your hair all over that? I'm gonna have to vacuum that out now. Okay, inside. Yes, come on, in we go.